Now let us begin at the Foreign Minister's press conference.
First of all, I would like to start with a report. From the 24th to the 27th of November, I will be going to Italy in order to attend the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting. After attending the APEC ministerial meeting, followed by my visit to Ukraine, this will be my second visit overseas. And it will be my first participation in the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting. In light of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, situations in the Middle East and also in the Indo-Pacific, to address various issues regarding the international society, it is extremely important for G7 to be unified and collaborate in playing its role, and therefore I am committed to be engaged in the discussions. In this meeting of G7 foreign ministers, in addition to G7 member countries, outreach countries are also invited. I will make sure to have a fine-tuned cooperation with these countries to maintain international order based on the rule of law. I hope to lead the discussions. Representing Japan, I will make sure to contribute to the discussions. That is all from me.
Those of you with the questions are asked to raise your hand. Please proceed to the microphone and name yourself. Papa-san from the Nikkei Shimbun, please. My name is Papa. I belong to the Nikkei Shimbun. This is in regards to the G7 foreign ministerial that you refer to. Well, the President Trump, the U.S. President-elect, the Trump, in his past administration, had took the multilateral meetings lightly and had placed importance of the bilateral deal as the Middle East situation becoming serious. I would like to know how you are going to enhance the unity of the G7 currently in the international society, there is the serious division and also the confrontation in relation to the Middle East situation, Ukraine situation. Against that backdrop, it is important for the G7 that shares the value and the principle to uphold and enhance its cooperation. Therefore, at this time, at the G7 Foreign Ministerial, each foreign ministers from each G7 country for 2 days will have the deep discussion in regards to the variety of challenges being faced by the international society. With a counterpart of each country, we will have an exchange of opinions in a straightforward way so that we would be able to enhance unity as the G7. As for how the G7 shall be, well, within the international venue and correction, because we are facing this sort of situation internationally, it is important to maintain and enhance the cooperation amongst the G7 countries, as you mentioned. And as I mentioned already, it's important that we coordinate with the countries other than the G7 carefully. Through these initiatives, we would like to uphold the free and open international orders based on the rule of law. Next question, please.
Yomiuri Shimbun, Oyama-san, please. I am Oyabu from Yomiuri. I have a question with regards to Ukraine. In Ukraine, insists that Russia has launched an ICBM and has made an attack. Russia has just immediately changed its nuclear doctrine, and therefore it is hinting to use nuclear weapons. What is your take on this announcement? And in order to prevent escalation, how does the Japanese government intend to address? On the 21st, the government of Ukraine announced that to Dnipro city in Ukraine, Russia made an attack that resembles the characteristics of an ICBM. And on the 21st, again, the government of Russia and the United States announced that this particular attack was made using intermediary ballistic missiles. With regards to incidents that are taking place in war zones, I would like to refrain, representing the government, to make any detailed assessment. But as we have been stating so far, the attack on Ukraine by Russia is a tragious action that undermines the very foundations of international order. And therefore, the series of attacks from Russia, including the most recent one, we would like to condemn Russia for their attacks, and the Japanese government will remain focused in watching closely how the situations develop. We will continue to hope for a perpetual peace in Ukraine, and I would like to collaborate with the international society.
My name is Kim. I belong to the Mainichi Shimbun. I have a question in regards to the provision of the anti-personnel mine by the United States. Well, based on the request from the Ukraine, the U.S. has once again decided to provide anti-mine, and Japan is part of the anti-personnel mine ban convention. The other day in your press conference, you gave an explanation in regards to the continuous support to the Ukraine in regards to the anti-mine. Well, the Biden administration have respected the convention up until now, and has only provided the anti-tank mine, but due to the changes taking place in the international arena, had decided to change the international policy, I understand. Up until now, for the anti-mine countermeasures, Japan has took the lead for the anti-personnel mine. And I would like to ask the minister to give us your comments in regards to the reality that violates the convention. Well, we as country place importance onto the anti-personnel mine ban convention. Therefore, we are strongly concerned in regards to the situation that the usage of the the mine would have to be used. If it is being used for a long period, it would cause the damage. And for the sake of the removal, Japan has made a contribution. And we would like to continuously pay the effort to that end. Well, if that situation is to take place, then we are strongly concerned. Anyhow, in order to make sure that the current situation would be put under control early, in other words, we believe that it is important that the Russian side would immediately stop the invasion, which we would like to strongly urge. In regards to this matter, we are not aware of the details in regards to the facts. Therefore, in regards to legal evaluation, I would like to refrain from making any comments. Next question, please.
北海道新聞、松下さん。I'm Matsushita from Hokkaido Shimbun. Thank you for taking my question. I also have a question related to Ukraine and about the nuclear weapons. As was mentioned earlier, President Putin of Russia has amended the nuclear doctrine and has therefore relaxed the conditions to use nuclear weapons. It seems to be a threat to the Western countries, and it is unlikely, some say, that they will use nuclear weapons. But what is your analysis of nuclear risk? As a MOFA. And based on that, this kind of nuclear threat by nuclear powers is something that would undermine and shake the very foundation of NPT. And as a country that has experienced a bomb, how do you intend to promote mitigation of nuclear risks and nuclear threats? And how do you plan to build momentum towards denuclearization and elimination of nuclear weapons? Well, as I mentioned earlier, the government of Ukraine stated that something that resembles the characteristics of ICBM has been launched from Russia, and Russian government has insisted that this was an intermediary ballistic missile. Russian government and the U.S. government has made such announcements publicly. With regards to use of nuclear weapons, must not happen, needless to say. Just hinting the use of nuclear weapons, such a behavior must be strongly condemned. As for Japan, towards the target and goal of eliminating all nuclear weapons, we will continue to make our efforts. Next question, please.
From Asahi Shimbun, Satomi-san, please. My name is Satomi. I belong to the Asahi Shimbun. Well, I would like to change the tone, and I would like to talk about the Sado gold mine. This is in regards to the memorial event for the Sado gold mine. Well, the Japanese government had made a promise to hold this memorial event. I would like to ask you to give an explanation because the significance of this memorial event. At this time, the private sectors and also the Niigata prefecture. Actually, the executive committee actually had made an announcement at the last minute in regards to it. And I understand that just today, the participation by the parliamentary vice minister had just been announced. I would like to ask you to give us an explanation as to why it had been disclosed at the last minute. Well, in regards to this memorial event that you have just referred to, well, based on the statement that had been made by the Japanese government delegation at the 46th World Heritage Committee, the executive committee is composed of the local the government and the private sector the group relevant to the World Heritage is to hold this event according to our understanding. And as we have already disclosed on the ministry's website from the Japanese government, parliamentary vice minister Ikuina is to participate at the event. Well, as for the details of this memorial event, it is appreciated if you could ask the local executive committee as they are the host of this memorial event. Well, in regards to this event, the Japanese government, we would like to coordinate with the local community, which is the host, and we have had communicated and exchanged the opinions between the Japanese government and Republic of Korea government, and we would like to refrain from making the explanation about the details.
Baba-san from Nikkei Shimbun, please. With regards to visa in China, China is considering resuming the lifting of short-term visa to Japanese citizens. When was this notified from the Chinese government? And my next question, related question, is there seems to be a lot of requests to exempt visa from Japanese companies, but what are the expectations for enhanced exchanges, economic and people exchanges between the two countries? And from a reciprocal perspective, Chinese government is asking for relaxing of a short-term visa for tourists visiting Japan from China. Your take on this, please. With regards to the media coverage that you pointed out, I am aware the Chinese government in March 2020, because of the spread of COVID-19 virus, short-term stay of Japanese citizens within 15 days has been temporarily suspended for the exemption of the visa, and it had not been resumed to this day. The foundation of Japan and Chinese relationship rests with the people-to-people exchange between the two countries, and therefore resumption of the exemption of visa will definitely contribute to a more smooth exchange of people, and therefore, as you correctly pointed out, there were requests from the business sector. And based on these requests, the Japanese government has been making multiple requests to the Chinese government with regards to early resumption of the exemption of visa. And we have had communications on multiple levels. And the fact that the exemptions will be resumed soon is being weighted with high expectations, but I would like to refrain from making any detailed comments on the exchanges that we've had. Now, with regards to a visa for Chinese people visiting Japan, in order to facilitate the exchange of people, we have been taking measures related to this, but as things change and develop going forward, we will continue to make considerations. Next question, please.
Osaki-san from TBS, please. My name is Osaki. I belong to the TBS. I would like to change the tone, and I would like to ask you the question in regards to the overseas visit. At the APEX the summit meeting, the Prime Minister had stayed seated while shaking hands with the heads of states, and there are some other questions being raised in regards to the manner. So, as a professional of the diplomacy, I would like to ask for the comments of the minister. And from the foreign minister, were there any brief? Do you believe that the foreign ministry should have provided the lecture in regards to the diplomatic manner, because there are some questions being raised in regards to that. As indicated, I understand that there are a variety of reports being run in regards to this matter within the venue. When you are seated already, and when the leader had approached you and had I suppose that Prime Minister just put out his hand, and I do not believe that the shaking hand with both hands would not be appropriate. But anyhow, we believe that there were no specific issues from the standpoint of the diplomacy. Though, having said that, there are a variety of reports being run, and as Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we would like to take this fact, and we believe that we have to provide the appropriate support. Well, for 2 days, he had participated at each session and had conveyed the position of the Japanese government, and I understand that the Prime Minister had shown his presence, not only that with the United States and with China. He had conducted the bilateral the summit meeting where he had built the relationship based on the trust with the heads of states. And as the ministry, we would like to steadily support the leaders' diplomacy. Next question.
Sakaguchi-san from Kyodo Press, please. Sakaguchi from Kyodo Press. Changing the topic. Today, the minister's asset disclosure will take place what is your view on the disclosure of your asset? And if you could also make some comments on the significance, the meaning of this asset disclosure system. With regards to my own assets, I don't have a very good understanding. And I don't think, by nature, asset is something that you should compare with others. And therefore, I don't have any comments that I can share with you. And with regards to the asset disclosure system, the purpose is to ensure trust of the Japanese citizens against politics and administration. And therefore, since I am in a public position as a state minister, as a politician, I would like to address it in line with the purpose.
Oyama-san from the Yomiuri Shimbun, please. My name is Oyaba. I belong to the Yomiuri Shimbun. I would like to talk about the airspace intrusion by the Chinese military aircraft in August. Well, the China side had explained that because of the air current, the China side had ended up entering into the airspace. I would like to know the government's taking because of this matter, and how are you going to make an approach to prevent the reoccurrence? On 26th of August, there was the airspace violation being made by the Chinese military aircraft. In regards to this matter, to the China side, through the variety of levels, we had strongly asked them to provide the appropriate explanation. And at this time, the certain explanation had been given from the Chinese side. As for the Japanese government, we would like to take note that the China side had recognized the facts and relations in regards to this matter. And I would like to take note that it had provided the explanation that it would pay the effort to prevent the reoccurrence of the similar matters. And with that, we would like to carefully pay attention to the actions to be taken by the China side. So, still, we are continuously seriously concerned because the active actions by the Chinese military surrounding Japan, and through the variety of the different levels, we would like to ask the China side to improve.
Azuhari-san from Pan Orient News.
My question is about the war in West Asia. In light of the American veto at the United Nations Security Council against a ceasefire in Gaza the day before yesterday, I think, do you believe that this veto is helpful or an obstacle to end the Israeli expanding war on Gaza that is effectively expanding to include Lebanon? And on that, what is Japan's official position on Israel's war against the Lebanese civilians? Thank you.
With regards to the resolution that you pointed out, as a member of the Security Council, we have been engaged in multiple diplomatic efforts, but the fact that it did not reach an adoption is quite regrettable. In the meantime, Japan gives credit to the strenuous diplomatic effort that the United States is going through towards immediate ceasefire and the release of hostages. Japan will continue to make efforts to approach countries that are involved. Now, with regards to the heightened tension between Israel and Hezbollah, Japan is gravely concerned about this. There are many casualties amongst the civilians, and this is extremely painful for all the stakeholders to prevent victims of the civilians and to abide by the international law and to fully comply with the resolution of the Security Council in order to avoid further escalation to all parties involved. I would like to strongly ask for restraint.
Are there any last questions on this one from NHK, please? My name is, in regards to the Ukraine, and I would like to ask you the question. Well, up until, as was mentioned during the question and answer sessions, due to the launch of the missile by Russia with the feature of the ICBM, currently, for example, there are events happening, including the launch of the missiles provided from the west side. And at the G7 40 ministerial, I would like to know as to what sort of stance would the Japanese government take in order to make an argument. Unity at the G7 would have to be enhanced. I think that is important, and also to convey the unique stance of Japan, I think, may come into play. I would like to know your take in regards to this matter. In regards to the current situation of the Ukraine at this moment, that is changing every day. Of course, at the G7 40 ministerial, that topic is expected to be discussed. What is important is that as early as possible, the just and long-lasting peace will be brought back to Ukraine. And for that, what is it that the G7 can do? And what is it that G7 should do are the most critical matters above all. And to that end, as to how we should evaluate what is happening at this moment, are expected to be discussed. Basically, the escalation of the situation would have to be avoided. If so, then the ceasefire or the long-lasting peace cannot be realized. Based on the latest situation, at the venue of G7, I would like to participate in the discussion. At this moment, at the Japanese government, I would like to refrain from making comments as to what would be the stance of the Japanese government. With this, we would like to close the Foreign Ministers Conference. Thank you.